On YouTube, we are sending some data to YouTube now. We're
How's
live.
it going?
How you doing today?
How you feeling out there?
Yeah, doing good. We want to get a little audio check. Can you hear?
Check, check, check.
Make sure everybody's good. If you want to click that button for us.
Where?
Start recording. And let's get, the power moved over. There we are. We're up. Hey, everybody.
Yeah,
How you
how's
doing?
it going?
I'm Justin.
And I'm Michelle. I hope that you're doing well. I know another week down, or I guess it's
I
a
don't
little
know.
over a week actually since we came to you, but last. But it's getting there. How are you coping? How are you coping?
Oh man, I'm coping.
How are you coping?
I miss my friends. I miss just hanging out. I think it's the exact same thing I said last week. It is.
Well, what are you putting into place to help any?
You know, I'm trying to run a little bit more. We're doing some Spartan virtual races.
Yeah, we have been doing that. That's
a little
fun.
bit more fun. That's given us the look forward to on Tuesdays when they send out the rankings.
Yeah, that has been exciting.
It's honestly, it's a good time of year because it's spring. We got a garden planted, but I get to go mow, so that's I get to do that kind of activity.
Yeah, that's fun.
How are you coping?
I'm doing okay. I feel like the last couple weeks have been harder for me than they were in the months, or I guess almost months.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prior. But I've really started trying to figure out ways to do some, self-care kind of thing. I mean, I've always been doing the workout thing. I actually like being in this environment has made me work out more than I did previously, but just because of like a stress and the less commute time, sort of like using the commute time, put the kids in the stroller and do a quick run and whatever. But I definitely feel like I've had some issues with like self-care kind of thing, so I basically tried to figure out what some things that I can implement that would help in that arena, because normally, a self-care would have been going to dinner with friends or, going to just go shopping or something like that.
Or hanging out with the girls.
Yeah, just anything like that. And so I haven't been able to do that. So anyways, I tried to figure out some things to do there, and what I found out, or what I've been trying recently, is doing some journaling. Basically, I'm picking like a question of the week, and then I'm taking that and actually like trying to journal about it every day, that same topic for a week at a time, and basically just try to get me in the right mindset each day, and then give me some themes of things to be focusing on that might be internal, they might be physical, they might be eating healthy, anything like that. All different topics, but that's essentially what I'm trying right now, just to see if it
One
helps.
thing that I've been trying, because I know we've had like the no commute, those kind of things, is actually try some different things in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
We usually make our own pizza doughs, but I've ventured out, made some homemade biscuits from scratch.
Yes, very yummy.
Tried all different kinds. I think I nailed a good recipe down. But again, that's what I've been in. I want to try cinnamon rolls, but I'm scared because
Yes, try cinnamon rolls. I'm not going to say no.
I love cinnamon rolls, but I'm scared because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to make them all the time, just like I have been with the biscuits. So what are we talking today, Michelle?
Well, so today I sort of wanted to discuss a simple framework, nothing, complex, because who can handle complexity right now? A simple framework that'll help small business owners, and then also marketing professionals, to basically take what they're doing right now to help them, 1 week, 1 month, and even further into the future. Basically a framework to put a little sanity around what's going on in their reactionary mode right now.
I don't know what you mean by sanity. There's nothing crazy going on right now. So, there's so much uncertainty, especially in businesses. People have panicked and pivoted like crazy.
Yes.
Um,
That's the phrase that we've sort of given it, because I feel like every podcast that I listen to now is like, how to pivot, pivot, pivot. Everybody's saying pivot when it used to be like barely used. And so it's very much like
it's a new common term.
Yeah, panic and pivot is definitely like the state of the U.S. right now.
So we're all basically adjusting to our life, basically. And so with that, I've seen so many companies quickly, boom, we need to do this.
Right.
And it's just like, no questions about
Right.
it.
I mean, I think that the biggest thing to take away from that is that people are doing that because they have to make decisions. So there's tons of creativity, tons of pivoting going on, but people are actually taking out the analyzing things to death, and they're quickly making decisions and acting on those decisions immediately. Whereas they used to would have been like, well, I mean, it would be nice. Maybe we could do that. And give me a full-blown plan, and let's figure out how we're going to do it in the best way possible. Whereas, now there's not really a choice, and they're like, let's do it, let's go.
I know, and that's what I find very interesting. It required a pandemic for people to react and just say, yeah, we need to do it. We've known that you need to do digital, those kind of things, not just because we're a digital marketing agency. I mean, just because this world is digital.
Right.
Everybody's got a phone in their face.
Yeah.
There's screens everywhere. I mean, even with the streaming TVs, that's a digital platform. So why do you think people just said to do it? Why did they react?
Well, I think some industries, it's like survive, or it's sink or swim right now. So they're like having to, because if they don't, they won't survive. But I mean, anybody's going to be, or the majority of the population is going to go with the whole least path of resistance.
Right. Yep.
So, if you're talking about having to go and put all this extra effort into it, but what I'm doing at this moment in time is working, why would I? Like, you have to have that trade-off of really feeling like that it's going to have this huge impact and huge effort to even like try those things. So the uncertainty and all that is basically what is driving people to be like, oh, well, maybe I do need to figure this out because it is going to affect me. Or the whole uncertainty of the economy as a whole for the industries that aren't as affected right now, with the way the uncertainty is, then you've got people that are like, oh my gosh, like, I have to figure out all these extra things at work because what I'm doing right now, even though it might still be working a little bit, I need all these extra things and extra pivots and extra things to try to help. And so it's almost just sheer panic mode, some greater scales than others, but they're panicking and trying to adjust by what they're seeing and what they're doing. So
that makes sense. With that, we're hearing more states and governments are starting to open up business and allow the doors for some non-essentials to start opening up and those kind of things. So we can just go back to normalcy, right? We can do full 8 to 5, dive right in, start doing our commutes again, right?
No. Yeah, I know. It's depressing, and I don't even know all the specifics as to, each state's opening up plans, but I do know that even if things do start opening back up, it's just going to be a long time before this is gone.
No, it can't be a long time.
No, it definitely is going to be a long, long time. And the reason, I guess, I got a swift kick of reality this past week, because I had a church meeting that was virtual, of course. And in the meeting, we were talking about events that would be, 4 months from now. And when we were talking about those events, and some of the people that were older in the group were saying, well, we're not going to be comfortable doing the volunteering for that event. And a lot of the older population in our church helped with that volunteering of that particular event. And so that made me it just really sunk in and hit me hard and made me realize, like, yeah, people aren't even going to be comfortable, especially the more at-risk population. They're not even going to be comfortable diving right in. A lot of people won't be. I mean, you have people that were already doing and getting out there when they weren't supposed to, but now you're going to have a lot of people that were following the guidelines are going to continue with the old guidelines because they're scared, you know, and so you have this whole new reality. And because of that, it really sunk in with me that, you know, small business owners and marketers really need to think of this instability way longer term and even try to take up all these little gems as they go along the way, because they're essentially doing such great things right now. So many people are doing so many great things within their organization. So how do they catalog and keep up with those things as they go along and put them all in a nice little package with a bow on it, so that once they get over this, or once, you know, as they're navigating through too, they can explore more options in the areas that are working, and then they can also keep hold of those, so that once they do get out into some sort of new normal, whatever that normal looks like, then they have this whole arsenal of great things that they built along the way that they can then take and say, yes, we're going to be even stronger and even more of a thriving organization once we get past this.
You know, those gems are important. But how do you go about collecting those? How do you, as an organization, how do you know what is a gem and what those kind of things? So like, what's the first step you do?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, I mean, as any kind of marketing team or executive team, you're already meeting on some sort of cadence, but I think you need to shorten or make that cadence higher. So you need to be meeting more frequently. You need to get some sort of communication construct in place where you're meeting, whether it be weekly, depending on your industry. Some it may be more like bi-weekly, because you can't wait month to month. That's an eternity right now. That's so long that you cannot wait that long. So essentially you need to pause with them and think, basically pause and scope things out with your marketing and executive team.
So with that, we get this new meeting in place. That's awesome. We're going to start talking about these things. Now what?
Well, basically you want to take the things you pause and consider with your executive team, and then you're going to put things into two buckets. You're going to consider what's working and what's not working. And so we'll start first with the bucket.
Instead of buckets, we're going to say boxes. Because of image in a box.
Yeah, I like that. Boxes, and then they're gems, so we'll make them like really pretty boxes, and then you're going to put them all in there and wrap them up. Well, you don't really want to wrap them up, but anyways, so you've got boxes. You've got one box is going to be for what's not working, one's going to be for what is working, and for the box that's not working, you're going to want to look at, okay, out of all the items that I've put into this box, were any of them old things? So when I say old, I mean things prior to COVID,
like January,
early February. Yeah. Depending on where your location was, if you were more geographically constrained, then in our local area, it would have been more of the March time frame that really started affecting you. But if you were like in New York, it would have been February, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so take note of that so that you know where to look.
But if you are nationally, then you probably started seeing effects, you know, right away when it all first started. So basically pre-pandemic in your general audience's demographic. So if it's old and it's not working, just pause it all together. Yes, press the pause button. Stick it away for later, and maybe if we come back to the normalcy of what was pre-coronavirus, then you can bring that back out. So if it was new though, so things that aren't working and it's something new that you've implemented within, you know, this short time span, then you need to talk it out. Why is it not working? You thought it was going to work. Why is it not working? And make adjustments and then relaunch. Okay. So you want to do that. Yeah. You don't want to just toss it all away. You want to do a feedback cycle and try to make it better. And then for the things that are working, again,
good job.
Yes, if they are working,
all around.
And if they're old, kudos, because you are in an industry that's probably barely affected at all. Right. Because there's probably hardly anything that's old and working.
100%, right.
Yeah, so, but if it's working and it's new, then you're going to want to put some kind of system in place, whether it's in a project management system or simply just a Google Doc or a Word doc, whatever, or even just your notes program on your phone. You want a way to catalog what you're doing right now that's working. You want to say, keep things like what audience it is that it's working with, what it is exactly. And basically just keep catalogs and keep tabs of all of those things, because the truth of it all is that, there's a 75% or higher chance that whatever that is that's working right now is something that you have done within the last 2-month time period and adjusted and made some kind of new packet, new offering.
That's working, right?
So it's something that's working, and it may be a completely different audience or whatever, but it's something that's working. And you want to think about it, and so just sort of like an example to think about is, some people have a really hard time. They're sort of straddling the fence. Pre-COVID, they were straddling the fence of online marketing, and so they were doing a little bit. They were dabbling a little bit into social media, dabbling a little bit into Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads, any of those things. And then once they got to the coronavirus pandemic, it was like all in. Like everybody was like, I'm going to do this. Now, some are freaking out and not spending their ad budget, but I'm saying that they're using their social media for sure, because that's the way for them to communicate most easily with their customer base.
Right.
And so they basically went from straddling it to, I'm going to like wholeheartedly accept this medium and I'm going to be all in. And so that's something that, you need to be cataloging, because what did you do that's working? Because before you weren't so sold on it.
Right.
So what made it work for your organization? What kind of posts were you doing? What topics, what type of engagement were you promoting? Like those, obviously it worked with your audience, so figure out what that was and make sure you keep up with it for future reference, because more than likely it will be beneficial post pandemic and moving forward into however long everything lasts.
So I just want to reiterate what Michelle said. We're going to put these ideas that worked and didn't work into two boxes.
Yes.
Don't just put them on the shelf and forget about them.
Right.
Even if we do go back, say next week, even if everything, hey, we got all of it taken care of, we can go back to normalcy. Don't. No. That's you're going to waste basically all that effort you put into this time. And then you're going to be like, well, how did we get all that? And you're going to forget. Document what you can, do whatever you can to not forget about it and keep doing it.
Right. Yes, definitely true. And just make sure that you're realizing, what you're not, because you're going to be so tired and so stressed out. You got all these people that are working and their kids are at home. Some of their kids are in school and they're trying to teach them, so they're working full time and doing all these things, and then you don't want to go eat every night because you can't get out. It's not safe to be constantly getting out and interacting with that many people. So you have limited time and you're tired. You're not going to remember post coronavirus. That's why it's so important to keep up with it now, because it's all stressful. Everybody's just has a big reactionary marketing and stuff right now, and so long term it's going to be hard to just remember.
Right. So with that, as a loud truck goes by, with that, we probably found some loyal fans of your business.
Oh, yes.
Or your biggest promoters.
Yes, this is a huge one to consider, because if you're in the middle of, pandemic mode and you've got people that are still avid people promoting you to their audience and then also purchasing from you, you need to put them in a golden ticket bucket or box, like a gold box.
Pack the boxes.
A gold box with diamonds on top. You need to keep those people in a special location and designate them as, wow, these are my loyal fans. I mean, it's basically 101 persona type stuff, but it's something that you may not be pausing enough to think about because you are so much in this like go 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 state that you're not going, wow, I have all of these loyal fans, so what can I do to reward them in the short term and long term?
Get creative.
And then how can I find more people like that? Because if they're that loyal to stand by me right now when it might be risky to come get food from my restaurant, when it might be risky to, just interact even at a small basis, or they might have lost their job so they are really short and tight on money, but they're still purchasing from you, then you need to hold on to those people and really channel a lot of your energy into finding more people like that, because now you can easily find those loyal people right now.
And you just gave me a great idea that I want to tell everybody, especially with the food industry. Everybody's got these online ordering systems. You're probably capturing email addresses. Like what Michelle is saying, there's your golden box of users. Hit them up constantly.
Yeah.
Like, hey, thank you. Here's a coupon. Why?
Right.
To bring them back.
Yeah, and I mean, even to send them, text messages, or use them for lookalike audiences to run advertising campaigns.
Get marketing creative on
this. To basically start finding more people like that. It's huge.
The other people I want to talk about is maybe you've developed a whole new audience of followers.
Oh, yeah.
During this time, because of the pivot and panic mode. I'm going to pause there, let that sink in.
Dun, dun, dun. Too bad we can't zoom in.
You probably either grew your audience or you've developed a whole new audience around your digital strategy that you had to implement. Put them in a silver box or a gold box. They're still a great audience.
Right.
But look at them, use them, and say, hey, we need to keep going forward with this audience.
Yeah, how can I serve them going forward?
Right.
Because, again, you've found a new revenue source, possibly long term. I mean, because again, go back to what I said previously about, this could be affecting us well into a year. Yeah, we might not be in this kind of state we are right now, but it will be affecting us long term. So how can I take these new revenue sources and new offerings that I have found that work right now? How can I take those and implement them for a long term effort? These virtual offerings, these drop off in a bag, in a box. How can I take those offerings and expand upon them for the shorter term and the longer term? And then again, you've got that whole new audience that you found. Take those and find where they're going to fit in long term for your strategy as well. Because essentially, again, you have all these gyms and all these things, new things that you're trying and being experimental about. Don't forget about that experimental vibe and what it's bringing your company right now too, because that's something to also consider to take with you as you go, that it's so easy in today's environment to experiment and to try new things. Don't get complacent once things do go back to normal. Try to strive to do those new creative things to broaden and reach a different audience. Because, I mean, with the virtual, because a lot of people may be geographically constrained, so with the virtual stuff, you're essentially opening yourself up to be even global or national or whatever. So if you have found something that's working locally on a virtual scale, then that's something that can scale, more globally.
Just things to think about.
Yeah.
Don't forget about your loyal audience and your brand new audience that you developed. And again, that's across every industry. Even if your business was not affected, you probably grew in some aspect.
Right.
So who is that audience? And if we do go back to normalcy, how can we maintain that audience? Because I know some in the online, say, virtual workout systems, they have blown up, but you got to start thinking, how can I retain them after we go back to the physical gyms, those kind of things. So you don't wait till it happens.
Start thinking now.
Think now, put in actions you can do now, those kind of things. So
I think you essentially added a final step onto our framework.
Right,
so
yep.
essentially, again, the 2 buckets, boxes.
Yeah, come on.
What
boxes.
works, what doesn't work, and then within those boxes, you're going to have mini boxes.
Yep.
That is it new or old, and then you adjust accordingly. But then at the end, you want to take into consideration a few things to make sure that you're looking at the things that are all lined up in those boxes. You're either pausing them, you're cataloging them, and then you're also thinking about, how can I scale this long term? How can I maintain this new audience long term? And how can I reward my loyal customers and find more people like them?
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah, it's a strange time as usual.
yes.
So, but take that time to actually plan.
Yeah.
And execute. You've done
Yes.
well. Let's keep going forward.
Yep.
So with that, we're gonna sign off in the Image in a Box back porch.
Bye, everybody. Stay safe. Looking forward to
Justin.
seeing you next week.
Yep.
So.